Many investors are intrigued with the idea of owning rental property. The stories of successful investors who quit their day job, retire early, and live off rental income is enticing. Yet for those getting started on becoming a rental property investor, a big decision you will need to make is if you manage your properties yourself or if you hire a property manager. If you work a 9 to 5 job, you may not have the time or the bandwidth to show your home, run background checks, collect rent, and oversee maintenance. Yet hiring a property manager will eat into your cash flow. In this video, I'll cover how I came to the decision to property manage my own 2 properties and 3 lessons you can take away to decide if you want to manage your own rental properties. In July 2018, I owned 2 empty rental properties. Rather than sell the homes, my strategy has always been to hold properties long term so I can build a steady stream of income to complement my 9 to 5 day job. At this point, I knew I had 2 options to fill the vacancy. One was to hire a property manager, or 2, rent the property out myself. Working a 9 to 5 job as a sales and marketing professional, I didn't have the time or the bandwidth to actively manage the home, so I first reached out to local property managers in my area. The first lesson I learned is that property managers are focused on being very efficient operations. After finding several property managers via Yelp and talking with each one of them about how they operate and their fees involved, we came to a crossroads on one topic: the rent rate. My goal was to rent my 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom home for $1,800 a month and my 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom home for $2,000 a month. I came to these rent rates because of the high demand these areas command and the pristine condition of the homes. The property managers saw things very differently. They wanted to list the 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom home for $1,400 a month and the 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom home for $1,600 a month. The property manager's recommendation would lead to a potential variance of about $800 a month and prevent me from cash flowing on both properties. While I pressed the property managers to list the homes at the rate that I wanted, they refused, and that is what led me to not move forward with using a property manager. This back and forth led me to believe that property managers are focused on being very time efficient. In this example, their goal was a lower rent rate to increase the pool of applicants and begin collecting on fees. While I can understand the approach from their perspective, this strategy runs counter to my goal of maximizing cash flow. The second lesson I learned is that today's rental property management tools make property management very easy. After exploring hiring a property manager, I decided to look into how I could manage the properties myself. After a quick Google search, I realized that Zillow Rental Manager offered no fees to list, send and receive applications, run background checks and credit checks, and accept monthly payments. For me, this was a no-brainer since this helped me in my goal of cutting costs to maximize cash flow. While Zillow Rental Manager helped with finding applicants, I needed a resource for day-to-day operations, especially for maintenance and repairs. One day I heard on Bigger Pockets podcast of a property manager who put a clause in their rental agreement that the tenant would need to find a contractor to make any repairs and that the landlord would reimburse the tenant. This clause is made easy with the rise of Yelp and tenants now having the tools to find positively reviewed contractors. I thought this was a brilliant idea and worked a similar clause into my own rental agreements. And while this may cause me to pay a premium for contractors who may not be of the best value, I am willing to make that trade-off for peace of mind. In the back of my mind, I was concerned about those exception situations such as rent not being paid for and in the worst case scenario, eviction. While my goal was to properly screen tenants so it would never need to get to that situation, I learned that from conversations with the property managers that I can use them for one-off situations in the case that I do need an eviction. This put my mind at ease. The third lesson that I learned was that demand comes in all shapes and sizes. When I listed one of the homes for rent on Zillow, I received an inquiry from a representative of a nonprofit. I learned that the organization was government funded. The organization had their own internal maintenance crew to do minor repairs and maintenance. The organization was required to keep 1 employee in the home to keep an eye on the home. And the nonprofit was willing to pay a premium in the rent rate, given the perception of homeless people occupying the home. This addressed all of my concerns and helped me make the decision to manage the property myself. I've now provided this nonprofit for a home for the past 2 years and have had no issues. So to recap, the first lesson is that property managers are focused on being time efficient. You need to ask yourself if the cost of a property manager is worth the trade-off to your cash flow. The second lesson is that today's rental management tools make property management very easy. Leverage Zillow Rental Manager, Yelp, and contract clauses to make things very hands-free. The third lesson is that local nonprofits are looking for homes to rent, and the overall message here is that demand comes in all shapes and sizes. With homelessness on the rise, seek out nonprofits in your area. They're willing to pay more to occupy a home, but reach out to other organizations. Try to broaden your horizons of the pool of potential tenants who may occupy your home so that you can maximize cash flow. In conclusion, on the surface, property management looks intimidating. You hear about the stories of tenants trashing homes, not paying rent, or being evicted, but I will tell you that this is the exception and not the norm. If you use the tools available and screen your tenants right, self-managing is not as difficult as it sounds. Yet if you are looking for more peace of mind and you can afford a property manager's services and still cash flow, you can go the route of a property manager if that works for you. Thanks for watching.